Welcome to the Leo Training Podcast with Joe DeLeo. You'll hear in-depth interviews and tips from world-class athletes, coaches, and industry-leading experts to help you train smarter and improve at what you love to do. Train smarter, get stronger, move better, race faster. Here's your host, Joe DeLeo.
We're back with episode 100 of the Leo Training Podcast. And this week's guest is Dr. Carlo Varalda. Dr. Varalda is the Executive Director of the National Strength and Conditioning Association in Italy. He has worked with the Italian Rowing Federation and currently is working with the Italian short track team in preparation for this year's Winter Olympic Games. His work focuses on research for the improvement of performance and methods for the assessment of athletes. He focuses on evaluating muscle, posture, and function. Here are 3 things that you will learn in this interview. 1. What is Dr. Varalda's evaluation process? 2. What's the most important part of power measurement? 3. What is the first system in the body that we should be training? So, without further ado, let's roll to episode 100 with Dr. Carlo Varalda. I'm very excited to welcome onto the Leo Training Podcast, Dr. Carlo Varalda. Dr. Varalda, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy coaching and consultation schedule to come onto the show and discuss some of the work that you've done with the rowing community.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for your invite, and thank you for all the people that heard this occasion to speak with you.
Yes. So you've done a ton of work throughout your career working with the Italian rowing team. So before we get into that, why don't you talk about kind of your background in education and kind of what brought you to working with some high performance athletes?
Okay, I have a degree in motor science and physical education. I have a master in posturology and a PhD in sport exercise and ergonomics. I'm also a certified strength and conditioning specialist with the National Strength Conditioning Association, NSCA. Currently, I'm working particularly with the Italian short track team to prepare the next Olympic Games in Pyeongchang in February, and with the Italian Weightlifting Federation, where I'm the head of the Strength Academy that organizes the educational courses to become a strength coach. During my career, I prepared many athletes both for individual and team events. And I've worked many years with basketball from youth to first league. I've worked with the Italian weightlifting team to prepare athletes to Beijing Olympic Games. I've worked many years with volley, soccer, track and field, futsal, box, and I've worked with the Italian rowing team to prepare the London Olympic Games, and I've worked with some athletes that went to the Rio de Janeiro Olympic Games. I like working with athletes, but I worked also with the people that is not professional athletes, but is amateur.
Mm-hmm. So you've worked with a multitude of different sports, as you just mentioned.
Yeah.
What piqued your interest in working with athletes? Was it just sort of a natural opportunity that came about, or is it something that when you were younger, it was like I wanted to do this?
Well, I try to do the athletes, but when I understand that is not my way, I decided immediately to prepare myself to training, like trainer, head coach, and like athletic trainer. After the experience with basketball, I decided that for me it's most important to work like athletic trainer, And in particular, I arrived in Italian Weightlifting Federation to improve my knowledge about the strength training. I like to call myself strength coach for my certified for NCA, but because I think that the strength is the basis for all the sport. I had many experience with many sports, with many athletes, and I think that the correct type of training of strength is the necessity for all. Sometime I show that some people think that the strength is a particular moment of the periodization. I think that the strength is the most important for the first to the end days before a game or a big event.
So just to clarify, so you think the strength training aspect within a training program, it should be present all year long. The amount may fluctuate, but it's there all the time.
Yes, I think that it's important some different view about the strength, no? Because I think that some people don't remember that strength is mass, weight, multiplied by an acceleration, no? Sometimes the people think about 1 RM and is the percentage of 1 RM and is the only way to prepare and to training the strength. I have another idea. I'm sure that it's possible and it's important to organize the training sometime with the high weight and the low acceleration, and sometime with the low weight but high acceleration. I don't consider the 1 RM, but for me it's very, very important the measurement about the power. I use the inertial sensor to measurement the watts that every rep the athletes produce. And then I can organize the type of weight, the type of acceleration during every training. I think that this is the way to personalize the training for every athlete and not generalize the training. I remember, and when we spoke about, we will speak about the rowing that in the year of London Olympic Games, I prepare from October to April 16 different training programs for 16 athletes that I trained. I think that this is most important in the organization for an athletic trainer. It's very, very important to organize the training for every athlete in different mode. And when we go also, I can explain to you my idea of organization before and after the training.
That'd be great. That'd be fantastic. So you said, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. I believe you said in terms of the power measurement, was it velocity and acceleration?
Sorry, I don't hear well.
Were you trying to measure for power velocity and acceleration?
Yes.
Okay.
I work with an inertial sensor and accelerometer, and I realize some software to can understand in real time the result about the movement of the athletes.
Excellent. So let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about specifically some of the work that you've done with rowers. And so first, how did you come to work with some of the rowing athletes before we get into the evaluation portion?
Yes, I think that it's very important to assess every athlete before and after every mesocycle of training, And about some, for me, only for me, it's not general idea. Some aspect. First of all, and it's important to understanding the situation such as muscular balance. The second one is the somatotype, the proprioception, the analysis of the technical gesture, and the strength and its application. If you like, I can explain better every of these 5 points, if you like. And
yes, please.
Because for me, muscular balance is important, first of all, for injury prevention. I think that one athletic trainer must have the first goal, the injury prevention for the athletes. After they improve the performance. But the first of all is real, for my idea, my goal is injury prevention. I like that the athletes can be training every day, not sometime now stopped for the injury. And then I think that the muscular balance is very, very important. And we can analyze to compare, for example, the maximum weight from agonist and antagonist muscle in every movement of most important movement of the sport. The other things that I like to assess is the somatotype. Somatotype allows us to understand the type of prevalent muscle fibers and some metabolic characteristics of the athletes. And I think that can be useful to realize a good periodization and to organize the different type of the type of training, the time of the type training, to decide how many weeks is important to work some capacity of this aspect. Two important aspects concerning proprioception: the correct control of the ability to contract and decontract muscles, and the ability to know how the body is located in the space. Because sometimes I have the perception that some head coach, ask to the athletes different type of movement or to modify some aspect in the movement, but the athletes that thinks that are doing this don't understand because he don't know his body, the segment of his body, the type of muscle that he must use to do the change of the movement. And when I speak with the head coach, with the coach about in more sport, they don't think this. They think only that the athletes don't understand. No, the athletes understand well. The problem is that the athletes haven't the capacity to to answer after your question. I don't know if I'm clear in this message, Joe.
So I believe what you're trying to communicate is that the athletes, they don't have the opportunity to ask the right question to the coach.
No, they haven't the capacity to use correctly his body, his muscles to answer to the question that explained the head coach. For example, the coach explained your shoulder is high, lower the shoulder, yes, and the athletes is have the idea that he put the correct position of the shoulder, but really he don't put the shoulder in correct position because he don't know what's the muscle that he must use to realize this movement. Yes, for example, the latissimus dorsi or the other muscle, no? And and this is, I think that is not fault of the athletes. I think that is a fault of the coach that don't verify before if the athletes have the capacity to understand the question.
Yeah, I now understand what you're trying to say. So I think the way that the athletes are communicated to will be just kind of like what you
Yeah,
said, lower your shoulder instead of teaching the athletes that they need to do that by engaging their latissimus dorsi, which is
yeah.
going to pack the shoulder and centrate the glenohumeral joint in the proper position.
Yes, 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 yes. For example, though, in the fitness center, you find every time the mirror, no, and the people show in the mirror and then try to organize his body, but it's not good because if you don't think when you haven't a mirror, you haven't the capacity to put your body in correct mode. The same is for the posturology, the same for the other things. I understand this really when I arrived to the weightlifting. Weightlifting is on platform, and you haven't anything in front of you, and you must understand what is your body and how your body move during the snatch or the clean and jerk. And it's incredible the difference from fitness that I think must have the same idea, organize the body of the people, not with the mirror, but with his mind, his
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah,
No?
it's gotta come from the neural impulse.
Yeah, yeah,
From the brain,
yes,
So the neural
yes,
impulse,
from the brain, not from the eyes.
right.
Because the problem that we have now in the posturology, but in many things, that the people use only the eyes, don't use the brain to understand where is the body in the space. And if you haven't a problem with the eyes because you are in one site where it is not possible to have some point of view, you have a problem to put your body in the space. This is my idea, but I try with the more athletes to training without mirror and with mirror, and there is a big difference. And
Interesting.
if I sometime I ask to the athletes to close the eyes and do the same movement, and really sometimes is very is a joke for me, but is a joke that permit to understand if the athletes know or not known his body.
Wow. So you actually observed differences in movement and technique if an athlete rode in front of a mirror versus not rowing in front of a mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that makes total sense because they're relying on visual feedback instead of
Yeah.
proprioception.
Yes. Yes. I don't use mirror. My I think that the first problem for the people is the mirror or the only the use of the eyes to understand what is and in the past we have I think that we had more capacity to analyze ourselves. Now the young people in particular haven't not many capacity to analyze themselves, and they are really able with the hand, but they have only the training for the eyes to show the TV or PlayStation or other thing or mobile phone, and they are not able to understand where is my body, where is my arms, where is my leg. If you ask to the young people now that is sitting in one chair and you ask your arm is high or low, they don't know. They don't know. Really, and this is a problem for us. I don't know if it's a problem only for in Italy, but I stay some time in USA, and I know and I stay many time in foreign country, And when I spoke with my colleague, I understand that there are not many differences from country and country. The problem is that the new generation is not able to the movement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So,
if you like, I can explain more about my idea about the assessment.
yes, absolutely.
Can
I do.
I?
Yeah, I do want to hear that. One thing
Okay.
I wanted to ask you though before we lose what you just shared is so are there things that you do as a coach to try to create a sensory rich environment so the athlete can feel more instead of relying on the mirror? So like what would you do to make the environment easier to learn?
Uh, well, I find some coach and some athletes that appreciated this type of the work, and they thought after that it's a long way or short way. It's different from people to people, to athletes to athletes, but. I think that if we start to work free to the highest necessity, I think that for the athletes in not more time it's possible to recover proprioception and to realize more ability in the neuromuscular system, because the problem is that sometimes we don't remember that we are a complex machine. The body is a complex machine. Sometimes we would like to easier our situation of the body situation, but I think that we sometimes don't remember that the neuromuscular system is the first system that we must training. And the neuromuscular system, it's possible to training with the strength training. I'm sure of this, and then I like more when some people call me for the strength training, only the strength training, like strength coach, because I think that it's possible to work the hard to the neuromuscular system. That is the system that permit to change the type of interview of the muscles. For example, in the rowing example, we start from speed 0, and we must move the boat with 1, 2, 4, 8 people on, and we start with speed 0 during the game, and then I must apply a quantity of strength, but it's not possible for me maximum strength for more time, because I produce lactated acid, and then after 500 meter I stop my boat, no, and then I must regulate the quantity of strength. I remember that I read many study about the how many strength we have on the every stroke during the rowing regatta, and I remember that for the men is 45 kilos. And I think that yes, it's not more 45 kilos, but when I realize 240 stroke, I think that the quantity of strength is not low, is very high, no? And during the competition, we have the various period where I can have more or low number of stroke, and we have many conditioning from the other competitor, and the type of weather that I find. If there is wind, there is not wind, there is movement of the water or not. And then every stroke is 45 kilos, but the type of interview of the muscle system, the neuromuscular system, is very different for every stroke. because it's not only the stroke when I put the stroke in water, but it's important where I put my center of mass during every movement on the boat. That can change the type of velocity of the boat. No?
Right. So throughout the 2,000-meter race from speed zero, that's going to be different than say 600 meters in, then 1,200 meters in, then 1,800 meters.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
It's
Excellent.
it's very different the type of the strength that I must apply. And it's very very important that the athletes understand the how many fibers he must call to realize a movement with the correct type of strength for every stroke, and then it's not easier. And I think that the training in the gym or the weight training, it's very very important to permit to the athletes to improve his capacity to organize his neuromuscular system.
That was fantastic. That was great.
It's my idea. It's not good idea. I don't know.
Well, it makes a lot of sense to me. So I would love for you to shift gears here and talk about how you evaluate and assess the rowers.
Yes, I evaluate with some instrument. I like to use the inertial sensor. I like to measurement the somatotype that I spoke about, and some test that permit to understand if the strength training is correct or not. For example, I use for the rowing the squat jump and counter movement jump, and I have 3 years of for 3 years I note test and retest many times, and I have the opportunity to understand if the training was correct in the my periodization, because when we work for the strength, we have an improvement about the squat jump, and we haven't a low result in counter movement jump. But when we work to the transform the strength in power with the work with the maximum acceleration and low weight, we have immediately the improvement of the counter movement jump and maintain or minimum minus about the squat jump. This is I worked more with the squat jump and counter movement jump. And another work that I realized in the past when I stayed with the Italian rowing team was to realize application to understand the capacity of coordination during the work on the row, not in the boat but in the
the ergometer.
Sorry. And it's good. It's beautiful to see, but it's good to control the type of different line of the approach for every stroke in ergometer, and the change of type of the curves during the different period of training. It's a really good work, and I think that it's good to apply in other situation. I must try to apply, for example, in the short track to understand if there is a good relationship from the type of training and the type of result.
So for for the squat jump and the counter jump, did that translate into improvements on the erg or in the boat in terms of greater speed?
Yes, yes. We have we analyze the result about these two tests and the result on the boat, and we find that there is a relationship that when we have a good result in counter movement jump, we have a good result in the boat.
Excellent. Very cool. Very cool.
Yes,
And
yes. I think that it's a sorry, Joe. I think that it's very important for every athletic trainer and for the coach to have the opportunity to analyze the result from that we can change with the athletic training, and analyze if the same result we find on during the sport-specific exercise. Sometimes I have the sensation that every people like only for themselves that in his areas there is the improvement of the result. I think that one athlete is the most important people, is the center of the project, and when improve in athletic training is most important that improve in performance, and the same if improve performance, improve also in the athletic capacity. And then it's possible to create a personal program to training for every athlete. I understand that sometimes this is not easier when we spoke about team sport, but I'm sure that inside the team sport you can organize the little small group of people that have the same characteristics and the same necessity to improve some physical characteristics.
yeah, absolutely. So you could break the team into mini groups that have those similar physical traits and characteristics.
Yeah.
Is there anything in terms of the evaluation that you look at from the like muscle imbalance or postural that factors?
Yes.
And if so, what are you evaluating?
Yes, for example, I use the skin fold for the measurement of the fat, but not because it's important the percent of the fat-free mass and the fat mass, but because it's important to understand the difference of body composition during the training. Some people think that it's important only the weight that they read on the balance. I think that this is the box, but it's important for me to know what there is in the box, fat or muscle. And when I training some athletes, for me it's important to understand if the training permit the reduce the fat mass and improve the fat-free mass, for example. Other things that I use is the bioimpedance because it's important the hydration, but it's not my problem the hydration of the athletes because there is the doctor that think to this. But because the bioimpedance permit to me to understand what is the cellular mass, active cellular mass, and I can realize I call this the power number, that is the relationship from the body of the subject and his active cellular mass. I realized this idea because if the body weight is the same, but I improve the active cellular mass, that is the muscle of the athletes, I can have more power from these athletes. For the aspect of the postural and coordination, about the postural, we can open a big discussion, but it's not the moment to realize this. But now, for me, it's very, very important, the postural assessment during the exercise. And then I use the balance board. I realize an software with the software house where I can analyze how many time you stay in balance, or how many time you can go in. You can follow a object that move on the screen. And you must organize your position of the body on the balance board to stay inside the goal, the green goal. No? I think that this is good to permit the athletes to improve his proprioceptive and the organization of his position in the space.
That's very interesting. That's I haven't heard of that before, especially for rowers. So that's now, do you do that with all the athletes you work with, or just specifically for the rowing athletes?
But for the rowers, some rowers athletes, I try to put himself on sitting in the balance board and work at the sitting on the balance board, for example.
Yeah.
And is a good play.
I'm sure it's kind of fun to watch, huh? It's entertaining to watch them sit on the balance board a little bit.
Yes, they are not very able to stay on the goal, but it's for them important to prevent the back pain.
So
yes, we sorry. Bye.
No, this is probably going to lead us right to the next area. So, how do you take this information that you're gathering? How does this affect the work on the ergometer in the boat and strength and conditioning room?
Sorry, I.
So, how does the information from the evaluation influence the training program?
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Yes, I understand. Yes, I take all the result, and then I organize the periodization. And after one mesocycle, I realize the test, and then I modify the periodization. I think that I write every time for 1 year the program of training, but I change every 2 weeks, practically, because it's very, very important to understand if the athletes have the really benefit to my training. And this is possible if I test more time the athletes. And after the test, I realize the periodization of the training. And after every period of training, I redo the test and realize the new program periodization. Sorry.
Okay. And then right before I interrupted you, you were talking about how the postural assessment is important for the low back pain. Could you talk about that as well?
Yes, I know that for more rowers, the back pain is or low back pain is one of the most important injury that they have during the career. And the problem is that when they have the back pain, they are not in conditioning to do the training, and this is a problem in particular when you have the most important event like the Olympic Games. And then I work more to reduce this injury. And really, I have the 3 years of data, and I can tell without the problem that I think that we resolve really the problem of we have a big we reduce really the injury in the group. In 3 years, we have not many time that 1 or 2 athletes had back pain, and we can work hard for 3 years without period without training.
That's great. So you were able to reduce the injuries and make sure that the athletes were able to continue to train at a high level without missing time. Yeah.
Yes, I think that is the very important aspect for the athletic trainer, and it's important. First of all, the functional evaluation of the athletes, obviously. Second one is the correct work with the weight or with the other things. And like prevention, I think that it's very, very important to work to the strength, to balance, to core, to permit the athletes to stay really in global balance, not only in muscle balance, but in global balance.
Is there specific exercises that you feel are particularly valuable for the rowing athlete?
Yes, I think that for the we can speak about weight exercise and other exercise. For the weight, I think that it's very, very important for the rower squat. The best for me is a front squat, not back squat. But
why is that?
Because I think that it's better to reduce the possibility of cheating, first of all, because when you have the barbell, the bar back, it's possible for you work with the trunk, and is not correct and is not good for the back, for the low back. Second one, with the front squat, I have the opportunity to work with the low weight, and then I reduce the possibility of injury. Third, I think that I write many scientific articles, but I check many athletes, and the difference of use of muscle of the leg with the front and back is like 0. And then why I must realize the exercise that it's possible to cheating, it's possible to have a necessity of more weight and then improve the possibility of injury, when it's possible to do the same exercise with the situation more useful for the athletes first. The other exercise that I like more is the rowing with the bar. Do you know? I think yes. Is a difficult exercise, I know, but is a complete exercise because you must use all your muscle chain, in particularly the back chain, to realize the exercise. And when you use correctly the back chain, you have advantages for the postural assess and for the prevention of the injury of the back pain. For the back. And the other exercise that I like is from the weightlifting is and the clean, power clean. Obviously, they are not the weightlifter, but is a rower. And the rower, I don't start from the floor, but I start from the suspension, because the rower is tall, and they have a big difficulty to put the body in correct position to the deadlift, to the starter to the deadlift.
Right. So you'll start them on blocks,
Yes.
like raised up
Yes.
off the floor.
Yes. The blocks. Yes.
Okay.
Blocks
Okay.
or suspension. In the
Okay.
first period, blocks. The second time, suspension, because it's important that they have the capacity without possibility to put the weight on the blocks. They
Okay.
have some isometric contraction, and the isometric contraction is the maximum type of the voluntary contraction of the muscle in the body. And then it's important to habit the athlete to use also the isometric contraction.
Excellent. Okay. So has any of the that information during the evaluation process, has that had an effect on, say, the rigging in the boat, or setup with the foot stretcher, or any of those types of any of those things?
Allora, the first of all, I think that in the boat, the assessment is of the coach. No, the type of assessment is the coach that tell to me it's good or not his position, and I must understand what is my opportunity to work on some, in particular on some muscle, to permit to the athletes to improve his capacity, technical capacity. Sometimes I stay in near the boat during the training in the water, because I think that it's very, very important to understand the type of movement and speak with the coach about the head coach about what he think that it's important to improve the performance.
Right. So you definitely have taken time to make sure that you're watching them move, both in the strength and conditioning room and then out in the boat, as well as on the erg and stuff. So you're seeing the athlete in all of those different environments.
Yes, it's very, very important. I think that when you training some athletes, you must understand really what is the correct movement, technical movement. I understand that it's not possible to know every sport and every movement correctly. No, I have in the first time when I was called from the short track team, I don't know what's really the type of muscle, the type of technical that they use during the competition. No, and then I spoke many times with the head coach to understand this. The same I did when I stay in the rowing area, the basketball area, volley area. It's important to understand what's the reality, what are the reality necessity for the athletes. I must help the athletes to obtain the better performance that he can. I know that not all the athletes will win a gold medal in the Olympic Games. We know. One on 1,000, one on 10,000 people won win a gold medal. No, but it's important that I created the opportunity for the athletes to do the maximum of his capacity. If I do this, I'm happy. He cannot win, but he are sure that he do the maximum that is possible for him.
Right. Yeah, and that's all you can ask for at the end of the day, right? Yeah. So if you were kind of with all your experience and knowledge to this point, right? What what do you think are some things that are really important that a rowing athlete or a rowing coach should be emphasizing in their program if they're not doing strength and conditioning? It's going to be something that they're going to be adding in, and it's very new, it's brand new. What are some principles that you could advice that you would give them? That's a big question, right? I know.
No, no, yes, it's a really big question, and I don't know if it's correct. My answer. No, I think that the strength conditioning coach is an helper for the trainer. It's an help for the athletes. I understand that in for example, in the rowing, it's important the aerobic aspect, for example, no, and it's not possible to do the aerobic aspect with the strength training. But I think that it's important to work to realize the basis for the athletes to have the opportunity to, when he stay in the boat, to do the maximum of his possibility. I think that we can do many things to help the athletes. I understand that it's not easier, really, but not because it's not possible, because we haven't sometimes the capacity to work in team. And then it's sometimes it's very difficult to organize the team to obtain the maximum for the result that it's possible to obtain.
Yes, that makes complete sense. There's one thing you said there that I'm hoping you could expand a little bit on, and you talked about when doing strength training and then the cardiovascular training, that you really are engaging two different energy systems there. So what is there a best time to so say within one day, if
Yeah.
they're going to do a rowing session, ergometer or boat, and then a strength training session,
Yes.
what have you found is most successful for
Well,
adaptation?
I think that it's the ideas for me is that the strength training we can realize in the first part of the day, and then we can work on the boat and for the aerobic training. I understand that the coach have another idea. First of all, the training on the boat, and then the strength training or aerobic training. Sometimes we don't remember that after the strength training, we have necessity of the aerobic system to recovery to the work that I do with the weight. And if I realize immediately after the strength training, the aerobic training, I reduce the capacity of recovery, the rest for the athletes. This is a problem that I had with some trainer. And I think that I understand that the technical part is most important in the boat, in particular near the competition. But in the winter period, I think that if we would like to realize a good result with the strength training is 3 times per week, and it's better in the first part of the day. After, because in the winter period, it's possible to have attention only for the technical aspect of the rowing and not to the time for the competition. Near the competition, I understand that it's possible to reduce in 2 sessions of strength training. And I understand that it's a different type of volume of work, and then it's possible to realize the strength training after the technical training.
Okay, that was great. Thank you.
During the sorry, but I'm finished. Sorry. The technical training is in the same time also the aerobic training. We can spoke more time for the aerobic aspect because I probably not I'm you, but I and other people haven't the same idea of the aerobic type because I think that the rowing is not an aerobic sport. I think that is a power aerobic sport. That is another things. Yeah. And when I write that some people tell that the rowing is a aerobic sport and the resistance sport, I'm not agree. Sorry, because I think that if you would like to win in the rowing, you are really stay in the power area, power for the muscle, power for the aerobics aspect, power for the core training, power for all. And for example, we spoke before about the back pain, no, and other things. Many people use the core training, no, but sometime I show the core training static, isometric core training. Yes, in the first period can be useful for the athletes that don't know what is the possibility, the position correct during the core training. But the core training is not isometric training. The core training is during the movement, because when I rowing, I'm not blocked with my core, but my core, it's important that is able to transform the work of the leg to the stroke. And then I think that if I stay blocked in plank position for 30 seconds, 1 minute, I don't know how many useful for the athletes during the competition, really. And then, but this is another aspect that we can spoke about in another opportunity.
Yeah.
Sorry, I like to speak. I like to speak more of many aspects because it's I have passion for my job, and really I like to. I like to work with the athletes because it's a challenge for me, like is a challenge for them when they go to the competition, no? And I sometimes I change the rules of the joke of the play with my idea and change the habits that they have. I had this experience in the rowing team. They arrived with the resistance strength training. And I worked with them only for the maximum strength training, for example, no, and the same in the other sport. This is my passion, my idea, my type of. I understand. No, I like to work for the athletes, and I don't take without my analysis. The things that other people do.
That was great. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I definitely think of rowing. It's a power endurance sport.
Yeah.
Like you really need. There's a very strong, big anaerobic component to it. You're starting from a dead stop, so that's you've got creatine phosphate energy system, and then you're getting into the bigger anaerobic system, slow fast glycolysis, and then the ability to sustain that or carry that through. That's the aerobic system, which is going to allow you to maintain it. But all that power, it's coming from those two two energy systems.
Yes, yes,
So
yes,
you need a lot of development there. And then the second thing is with some of the core exercises, I I agree with you. There's a ton of value in doing them early on because it helps the athlete learn the awareness and how like to use the proper muscles. And then
yes,
they're like prerequisite, right? Like they need to be able to do them and do them well. And then once they do them, then you can start doing more complex,
yes,
like more
yes,
dynamic. But if they
yes, I
don't,
agree.
if they like, if they go to do it and
Yeah,
their pelvis is,
yes,
here versus, so they've got to show that they can control their body in space.
yes, yes, I agree. But sometimes I have an argument with some with some people about this because it's easier to realize the plank or the bridge or the side plank and stop it. The difficulty is when you pass from one position to the other position and you must maintain the correct aspect of your core. I improve this my idea when I trained the box athletes. They must have a most hard core, but they are in every time in movement, and then it's not useful for them stay in plank blocked. I realize some video with some athletes of the box athletes, and when I spoke to the trainer of the box, they no, it's not possible. But the idea is I must training one athlete for a picture, or I must training the athletes for the competition. This is for me the idea of the difference:
Right.
pictures or competition.
Right. Competition. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Um, well, I think we touched on all of the topics that we had down. So are you ready to move into the rapid fire questions?
No.
You ready? So
Yes, yes, yes. I
these
think
are
that
fun.
is good. We
These
we spoke of many topic, and I
Yeah.
think that it's more topic, and I don't know if with my English I'm really clear to explain my things, and sorry for all for my English first. No, I'm really I'm happy to this conversation with you, Joe, because I think that it's very important to speak about everything about the sport, in particularly rowing, but it's the same for the other sport. Because every time that I speak and I speak with another person like you, it's for me an opportunity to reflect to my work, and I'm sure that after our interview, it's possible for me to reorganize something of my job, really, of my work. Sorry, because I like I'm very I think that I'm lucky because I had the opportunity to work with many high level coach, really, in rowing, in now in short track, where it's possible to speak about the idea. And I think that it's very important when we analyze the idea and we realize a new idea of a periodization about the training. If we speak, we can think, and if we can think, we can realize a good training, I think. But it's my idea.
No, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing everything. I've learned a ton from you this morning. This is great. Do you have a couple more minutes for the rapid fire questions? A couple more like quick questions?
No, I really I think that I must tell you thanks for this opportunity. First of all, really. And I am very happy to speak with you. And I don't know why you speak with me. You call me, but I'm. It's a good opportunity for me to speak with you and with the people that follow you and your podcast. Real.
My pleasure. Actually, one of my friends that listens to the podcast, audience member, wanted to hear from you. So the audience, the listeners, asked for you. So you got fans out there.
Okay.
So given all of your knowledge and your expertise, if you could go back in time, what advice would you give yourself 15 years ago?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. What's your favorite strength training exercise for you personally? What exercise do you like?
But I have some difficult to explain my idea because I think that I'm a work in progress. Like a work in progress, no? And I'm very happy to have the opportunity to work in many type of sport, many type of athletes, and I think that I'm very happy of my job, and I think that it's very important for the every man to have this opportunity. I had this opportunity, and I'm very happy of this opportunity.
Excellent. Do you have a favorite strength training exercise?
Yes, man. For me, the squat is the favorite strength training exercise. Okay. But I understand that it's not easier to teaching. It's not easier to do. I really have many difficulty when I find athletes that are adult because they sometimes they worked many years with the squat exercise, but they haven't the capacity to do squat exercise. And I understand that this is a big problem for more people. I think that there is many good exercise like deadlift, like squat, like clean. But the problem is that you must find the better exercise for the athletes, for the single athletes, not generalize with we must do the exercise for the leg. Is only squat. No, I'm not agree with this idea. I can do squat if I can do squat if I know do squat.
Mm-hmm. What is one thing that you think younger athletes, so like junior athletes of any sport, should do more of to help their training and their health?
I think that it's most important for the young athletes to work about the proprioception and the knowledge of his body. Mm-hmm. It's not important the weight. It's not important the exercise. It's important to know the body and themselves. Sometimes I show that the idea is only to do a program with exercise to improve the performance. I think that this is the second step. First step is created the basis where every young people can build his muscle capacity, his performance capacity. Today, I spoke in particularly for my country, obviously. We have the problem that we have a high specialization in a young age. We don't prepare the people to move. We prepare the small athletes, the young athletes. I'm not agree with this. I think that it's important to create the person with the high number of capacity to movement, and then when arrived the moment where we understand the reality, the capacity that we have, like is fast or not fast, is have a good muscle or not, fast fibers or low fibers, I can help him to find the correct type of sport for him. Sometimes we think that it's important to create the small athletes. No, I think that it's important to create the people that can have all the capacity to movement, and then we must work to create the athletes. Mm-hmm. The athletes is the second step for me, but I know that now in many sports there is the habits to take the young and specialize. But when he stopped that sport because he don't like more, he haven't the capacity to start another sport. I think that is not good for our young. But sorry, another idea is that many people think that is not good for the young to work for the strength. I explained that the strength is very important for the young, because yeah, yes, because if you are not prepared to work for the strength, you have you lose many opportunity.
I couldn't agree more. That was great. That was fantastic.
Thank you. You are a friend.
What if you had to give one piece of advice to a rower or to rowers in general, yeah, to get faster? What would you say is like the number one thing that to work on?
For the fast, yes, for the speed. Yes, I understand correct. Okay. For the speed, I realize some circuit training where with the weight, where is most important the number of repetition in the time with correct movement and with the maximum acceleration. Mm-hmm. The number of repetition is low because we know that after 6 reps it's difficult to maintain the maximum acceleration. But if I passed from one station with the exercise for the leg, the second station for the arm, and I passed from one group to other group, it's possible for me to have the high velocity, high speed during the exercise. Not more number of reps, but in total they worked for 3 minutes of circuit training, and they have a minimum recovery, and then they restart with the circuit. I think that is a type of training near the competition where you habit your body to to maintain high level of production of strength without bad effects on the metabolic system.
Excellent. So I only got a couple more, but these are easy. These are fun. So what's your favorite meal, food?
Oh, I like T-steak. T-bone.
Yes. T-bone steak. Oh,
yes,
yeah, that sounds good.
Yes.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah, I think that you thought that I say the pasta, but no.
No, you're a strong guy, so you got to get the protein.
Yes, 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 yes.
What's one book everyone should read? A book.
Oh, yes, yes. Really I like more to read the technical book.
Mhm.
I know that is not good, but I read only sport book, technical book. Yes, I is my passion. I have a high number of book every time. Yes, that I bought to read because I think that in all area, Pilates, foam roll, strength, aerobic training, field and track and field, everything. One of the I think that the book of the National Strength Conditioning Association is good book to uh, and I think that it's but there is many book that it's possible to find where you have the idea that permit to improve your capacity to work. I think that it's possible to find many book now, and I hope that the people understand how many important is to read book to understand the idea of the other people.
Mhm. Absolutely. Great. Final question. Um, who have you studied in your career to get better? And it
But,
doesn't have to be one person.
uh,
It could be a couple. Yeah. It
sorry,
could it could be many people. It doesn't have to be one.
one people that
No. It could be a
ah,
list. You could give many.
ah, but I think that every people with every people with I worked give me something.
Hmm.
Uh, I think that um, I had when I'm young athletes. I know one coach of basketball coach that opened my mind because he was a person very open to the all the opportunity, all the idea, all the things. And I'm younger, very younger, and but this idea I have in my mind. I think that it's important to think that it's every day is a new day where you can improve your knowledge, and every person that stay with you can give you something. I think that this is an is an opportunity to stay with the high level of attention to give everything from every person.
Excellent. Fantastic. So you're off the you're off the hot seat. We're all done.
Yes. No, rear, the steak rear, not well
Yeah.
done.
Oh no. Yeah.
No,
No.
yes, I understand. No, no, no.
Right. Yeah.
I
That
joke,
was
I
good.
joke.
That was good. That was good. Yeah,
I,
that's right. Yeah, no, steak well done is not good. That's bad. That's not.
yeah, I agree.
That was good. Um, Carlo, thank you so much for coming on. It was great speaking with you this morning. I learned so much from you. I'm really looking forward to sharing our discussion with the podcast listeners.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for your invite. And really, I tell to you only sorry for my English, and I am very happy to that you give me this opportunity to speak with you, to know you first of all, because you are a great person, and second one that you give me this opportunity, and I'm very happy. Thank you, and it's a beautiful moment in my day. Thank you.
Oh, well, you're welcome. You're quite welcome. Just hang on the line. Let me give you a proper goodbye off air.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to the Leo Training Podcast. Subscribe and get even more expert training tips at www.leotraining.io.